Hello, my name is Joseph Baca. I'm a music education major at New Mexico State University, and I would like to making this video today to give you an introduction to the string bass and to tell you a little bit about its features, tell you what kind of sounds it makes, and to give you a little bit of instruction on how to hold a bow and how to finger a note. And to start off with, I'd like to show you a little bit around the instrument. So this is the bass. It's also referred to as a double bass. It sounds an octave below what's played, or the note that's given. The first thing looking up here, this headpiece right here is called the scroll. From the scroll goes down into the string and tuning mechanisms. Sometimes this is called the machine head, as well as just tuning mechanism. These little things right here that keep the strings in place, these are called the tuning pegs. I hope you could see them from this video. And then connected to these are the nut that hold the string in place. Everything together is kind of hoisted around this kind of gear shifting mechanism that holds everything together and allows you to turn and release or tighten the strings in order to obtain your pitch. Going down here, we have our fingerboard. This is obviously, for lack of better terms, where you would finger a note. Behind here, this is called the neck. This is where your thumb is rested right here. Let's see. And then right here, much like the other stringed instruments, such as the cello, we have an F hole. This allows the sound to escape as well as resonate, not just inside of the box. And the resonating and the vibrations are very important in all string instruments because that's how you will hear your pitch, and that's really where the sound comes from the bow. Going on here, very important part here is our bridge. The bridge, I think it kind of looks like a muscle man, just kind of standing there. I don't know. That's how I see it. It's the thing that holds all the strings together in place, and then the strings lie on top of that. You have to be very careful when you're tuning your instrument that you don't tune it too far because your bridge will break. It's very thin, especially on other instruments as well, and adding too much pressure could break that, and that's very expensive. Looking down here, let me grab my phone. You have your tailpiece. Your tailpiece is the thing that holds all the strings together. It's called a tailpiece because it kind of looks like a fish tail or a mermaid tail as I see it. It also holds all the strings together, and it connects to the bridge through the strings, and there's also a lot of pressure in there as well. So being very careful with that when putting your instrument away or taking it out, and also playing and tuning in general. The last thing below is your end pin. The end pin is used to raise or lower the height if needed for the player. Some people are taller than others, and other people are much shorter than others. And so it's important when playing the bass or playing the cello to figure out where you are as far as playing abilities go, and what height you need to be in order to produce the best sound on your instrument. So the next thing to show you guys is a bow. This is a French style bow, a bass bow. There's different bows per instrument. The bass bow is the largest because it needs the most strings to resonate across. Basically, starting here with the bow, you have the tip area. Now the tip, both sides hold the strings together, or the hairs, and it's very important that these remain undamaged because you don't want your hairs to fall off, because that would be not a good sound, and we want good sounds. Moving down, we have the stick along here. This is bow hair. Sometimes it's horse hair, sometimes it's synthetic hair. It just depends on your preference and what kind of sound you get and what kind of sound you're looking for. Moving down here, we have the winding. I believe that's how you pronounce it. The winding is kind of where your fingers lie. I'll show you guys how to hold the bow here in a second. And then moving on to here, we have the ferrule. Ferrule. It's a little difficult to say. I'm just a little Hispanic boy. I don't know too many French or German lingo, but I'll do my best. And this is where your middle finger will lie. It's a support system that's designed to really give yourself the best technique that you can give. And then moving on to here, where this little dot is, this is called the frog. This is where the rest of your fingers lie. In order to maintain proper technique, you have to find your balance point. And using this frog and this ferrule, I believe, is how you might do that. And then last but not least, you have the adjusting screw. This adjusts your hairs to be stronger, to be lower, and or tighter or looser. And I use it a lot. I don't know. This bow becomes unraveled a little bit too much. A different bow that you might use is called a German style bow. It has all of the same qualities except the frog is concaved a little bit so that you can actually hold it sideways. So let me show you guys how to hold a French bow first off. One of the most important things you want to remember is keeping everything relaxed. So for practice purposes, grab the opposite side of the bow and pretend like you're picking up some berries or some flowers. Everything's very relaxed. Fingers, I like to think of spaghetti fingers. Very relaxed. Very, very nice. And lay it over the bow here. Once you have those relaxed fingers, your middle finger should touch the ferrule. Your index finger should be slightly wrapped around the winding there. Thumb should be in line with the silver part on the opposite side, and your fingers should wrap around like that. So you should be able to find your bow system. Very relaxed wrist. We don't want any tension in our forearms. And be able to find your system, however you may need. Now, for some people like myself, this causes a lot of tension, especially since I'm a percussionist. So they choose the German bow system. And basically, it's a completely different system where you have your two middle fingers. I like to think of like rock on or love if you do sign language. Where you have your two middle fingers wrapped slightly in the middle, your pinky finger on the ferrule, your index finger wrapped around slightly, and then your thumb almost meeting your index finger here. And so everything is very relaxed still in the forearms. The key to bowing anything is being relaxed, and you should be able to get there fine. So to name a couple notes, or let's name the strings on the instrument first. So for the double bass, your first string, your lowest string right here is an E. So if you pluck it, it's an E. It's one octave below what's written in the bass clef. And then for going up the spectrum there, you have your D, and then you move on to an A, and then you have a G here. Oh, excuse me, I said the wrong one. Sorry about that. You have E, A, D, and G. Excuse me, E, A, D, G. Sorry about that. And now, when you're playing your instrument, if you would like to finger anything else, I like to think of bear claw, if anybody's a fan of Friends. Basically, what you want to do when you're pressing down on a string is you want to make sure that you're not pressing with your thumb. When you have your bear claw here, you want your thumb to be in line with your middle finger when it's on the bass, if you can see that somehow. And you want pressure coming down from your fingers onto the string when you play a different note. And you want to do enough to where it's not vibrating along the fingerboard, but not too much to where you're straining yourself or where the note starts to become a little flattened tone. So coming down on a string here, For instance, if we wanted to play a D major scale, we'd start on our D string, and then moving up the scale to the E, to the F sharp. Basically, what we want to do to accomplish these notes is have enough pressure on the fingerboard to where it's not straining anything. It's a very complex system, and but once you get everything on board with that, you should be okay. And when it comes to bowing your instrument, you want to think about bowing to where you find the best pitch. For a lot of pieces, you're going to have some interesting composer notes that might instruct you to play anywhere else from the bottom next to the board. I don't know why, it's a little spooky down there, to maybe a little bit higher. But I think the sweet spot is just right below the fingerboard. Make sure you're bowing evenly. So if we have... And excuse me, I'm still learning a little bit, so if you may hear a couple squeaks in there, that's just me learning. But the best part about it is this instrument teaches you a lot of different styles, from classical to Latin to jazz, and the bass is a fantastic instrument. And I hope this introduction video has helped anybody who is watching. Thank you so much.